But Brandon, let's move on into our next portion of our big board, and we're going to take a look at number 15 through number 6. If you are on YouTube, make sure to go check out individually, you can go check out our segment where we did 25 through 16, or you can go check it out audio like the wonderful people listening on podcast services around the world and get the full big board 25 all the way to number 1. But what we are going to do, Brandon, is 15 through number 6. We'll start with you. Go ahead, start at 15 and give us your next 10 guys on the big board.
Well, at 15, I've got Kenny Wooten, from the power forward from Oregon, who's certainly overshadowed by another guy that's coming up. Number 14, DeAndre Hunter, the small forward from Virginia. At 13, Ja Morant, the point guard from Murray State. At 12, Charles Bassey, the center from Western Kentucky. At 11, Ball, the center from Oregon. At 10, Jalen Horde, the small forward / power forward from Wake Forest. At number 9, Daniel Gafford, the power forward / center from Arkansas. At 8, Naz Reid, the center from LSU. At 7, Chris Wilkes, the small forward from UCLA. And at 6, Rui Hachimura, the small forward / power forward from Gonzaga.
And one of my favorite names to say, Hachimura, from the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Going into mine, number 15, got Charles Bassey, the center from the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Then Jarrett Culver, the guard from the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Then a guy who I believe has only played about 2 minutes this year. Very limited time, coming back with an injury. That Oregon team will look different when he does. Lewis King, the forward from the Oregon Ducks. Then number 12, our first international player on a big board, Sekou Demboya, the forward from France. Then you got number 12, Dave's boy, Ja Morant, the guard from the Murray State Racers. Then at number 10, Quentin Grimes, the guard from Kansas. Number 9, Keldon Johnson, the guard forward from the Kentucky Wildcats. I was thinking Big Blue Nation in my head.
Trying to wonder what you were getting out there.
I said Kentucky, and then I thought in my head Big Blue Nation. I wanted to say Blue Cats. But no, it's the Wildcats. Then number 8, Kevin Porter Jr., I believe no relation to Michael Porter Jr., the guard from USC. Then at number 7, DeAndre Hunter, the guard forward from the Virginia Cavaliers. And then rounding everything off at number 6, Ball, the son of Manute Ball, the center from the Oregon Ducks. And that's exactly, Brandon, who you want to start with. Ball, I have him at 6, you have him at 11. What is your thought process when you think of Ball? Because Dave and Sean, the week that I was sick and not on the fast break, they have already had a conversation about him where they're kind of comparing him to Kristaps Porzingis, who kind of calling him a unicorn in all senses of the word and saying that he could be the next unicorn that we see in the NBA. What are your thoughts when it comes to the unicorn in Ball?
Well, they're not wrong, I don't think. I think that them making that comparison is probably pretty accurate. He is a huge man with a great wingspan. This guy shrinks the floor. And he makes it very difficult for offensive players. I think that with his wingspan, with how big he is, he just gets in the way. But he's more than just that. He's also a really good scorer. He's been really, really great so far to open this season for the Ducks. I think that one of the things, too, is that he's got a great basketball IQ. And I know that a lot of times people would be like, a big guy having such a great big basketball IQ, because no offense to these two fellas who I'm sure are listening to this, but Shaq and Charles, they don't scream a great basketball IQ.
Well, I mean, Shaq couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from the foul line.
Like I said, but there's so many things with Ball. Is he's great with dunks, putbacks, blocks, rebounds, everything around the rim. He is the rim protector, and there's not enough good things that you can say about him. However, I think he could be a better defender and a quicker defensive player. And I think he also needs to be a little bit of a quicker shooter. You know, those are some of the only knocks that I would have to him. I mean, clearly it hasn't seemed to really affect him negatively to this point. But I think just to be able to be better in some things that a scout would be nitpicking at might be a couple of those types of things. But again, so many positives for this guy. And I have him at 11 right now, which is, you know, a lot of people may say, how can you have him so low? But I think having him at 11 gives him a lot of room to be able to still move up in the big board.
I want to compare him to a different player than Kristaps Porzingis. He is and I don't think that this is too far of a stretch, he's the Mo Bamba of this draft class. And when I say that, he's going to be the guy that if you love ball, he's going to be top 10, cracking almost the top 5. If you're unsure about ball, he's going to be a little bit lower. Like, he's a guy where he's got a ton of potential, and that's why where that U word comes in, that unicorn word comes into play, because it's like he can fit a skill set in the NBA that we might not have seen. Like when Kristaps Porzingis came in, how many Knick fans booed the Knicks, booed Phil Jackson? You had Stephen A. Smith calling for Phil Jackson's head because he made the worst possible pick, and then, oh, shoot, Porzingis is actually pretty good and is now kind of a superstar in the NBA, whereas I'm not saying Ball is going to be a superstar, but if you look at the numbers, and when I was looking at his tape, he doesn't, like, last year Mo Bamba and me had a very special relationship where I was like that giddy high school girl that just fell in love with the guy.
You probably still listen to his song every day, don't
exactly.
you?
Exactly. The first, like
the Mo Bamba song.
I did. Well, actually, funny thing about that is I teach music, and I had the 8th graders print out a song because we're talking about like rhyme scheme and stuff, and one of them printed out the Mo Bamba song, and I was like, great, because that is great rhyme scheme. But it was funny that they printed it out, and I'm like, oh, we were talking about Mo Bamba last year. But Mo Bamba to me, he was like, I was in love with Mo Bamba from the start.
Yes, you were.
Ball and me, I don't know what it is. Like, I watch his film and I go, I should love you just like I loved Bamba, but I don't. I don't feel that same attachment to it. And I don't know if it's because I'm not watching enough Oregon Duck basketball. Like I was watching Texas because of Shaka Smart and everything that was going on with them. But like, if you look at the stats, better field goal percentage than Mo Bamba, better shoots about the similar, maybe a little bit less by like 0.3 attempts that Mo Bamba shot from 3, actually hits at a better percent. And he's better at the free throw line. Like, better than Mo Bamba. The only real thing that Mo Bamba did that was better than him was had about a rebound more per game and had about 0.5, maybe half a block more than Ball had. But really, he's going to be the Mo Bamba-esque player of you're going to have to work with him. But if you could bring out the most of his potential, he could really be something special to a team at the next level.
Well, this is going to absolutely be a special player. I mean, 7'2", this guy is huge. I mean, he has got the size. That is for sure. To me though, there's not as much that you're going to have to do with him as you were going to have to do with Mo Bamba. And with Mo Bamba, he needed to add some weight on. Not in terms of get fat, but in terms of you've got to get a little bigger so you can be more physical.
You don't think Ball has to add a little bit of muscle?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, he's about, if you look at the weight, he's about 222 where Mo Bamba was 225. Those arms look lanky to me, man.
I don't know. I guess I just feel like Ball to me, I don't know. Maybe it's just because of his height. Maybe because he's, I don't know. He's not that much bigger than Mo Bamba.
He's not DeAndre Ayton, for sure.
He's not DeAndre Ayton.
Like,
but
DeAndre Ayton was like a man.
He was huge. He was huge. But still, I think Ball is is a big guy, and maybe that's what's making the difference in my mind, is his height is making the difference for me, since with Mo Bamba being, what was he, 6'8", 6'9", something like that?
Mo Bamba was just over 7 foot, like 7
You've
and
got to
3
be kidding
quarters.
me. Well, then who am I thinking of that he's scrap that? Then maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. He just seems different.
Mo Bamba was, and I'm looking at Tankathon. Of course, here's the thing. Sean has a problem with this too. It doesn't matter what height we say, because someone else is looking at a different website that says a different height because he was wearing shoes. And then this one, he wasn't wearing shoes. And this one, he put freaking those things you can put in your shoes to make you an inch or two taller. So it's like, when I look at heights, as long as you're in the ballpark, like the big thing that people were complaining about with Dave and Sean is they said 7'9" wingspan, when it's like, no, let's not cut him that inch short. Mo Bamba has a 7'10" wingspan, not a 7'9". That 1 inch makes all the difference, man.
I guess I don't know what it is, but there's just something different, I think, to Ball than there was with Mo Bamba. Maybe in a good way. What I would like to see from Ball though is that he should be getting a double a game. The fact that he's he didn't in Iowa, he didn't against Syracuse, he didn't against Green Bay, and I know he's coming just one shy in terms of a rebound and 3 shy. He should be getting a double a game. You are that big. You are probably bigger than most people out there on that court. You should be getting double a game. That's one of the things with it. But there's not a whole lot of things that I'm seeing wrong with this guy, or that you can't teach him. That's the type of thing, is that you look at a player that you go, okay, he's already really good with what he's given me. But then can we take what we have here and mold that into something that will be better? Or is this a what you see is what you get type of thing? Because with DeAndre Ayton, you talk about what you see is what you get. That to me, DeAndre Ayton was kind of the finished product there. He was big. What you saw from him in terms of his play, that was probably it. There wasn't probably going to be a whole lot more that DeAndre Ayton was going to provide.
No, I think Ball is going to be moldable. And the reason why is he's a guy that, I mean, because of his height, stick him down low. He's like the film that I pulled up right here. It's just a matter of he's in the paint. He's got that box out kind of. It might look a little bit like, I don't want to say elementary or like fundamentally, where it almost looks like somebody who is, I don't even want to say that because that's a disrespect to Ball. It just looks like, all right, here's where I'm supposed to be, where he's not venturing too far out. And the thing that I would like for him to add to that game is maybe add a little bit more of that shot. Kind of like what Mo Bamba did, but his was different, where he was doing the over-the-head kind of three-point shot, where Ball, it's just, like you said, his speed and just kind of fixing minor tweaks to what his shot is. But I think it's not going to be like he'll walk in and be dominant, but you add a little bit of muscle, get him in a weight room, work on a shot a little bit. He's got all the tools of someone. Plus, with Oregon, a thing that'll be interesting, Lewis King comes back. Although he's listed as a forward, I'm pretty sure Lewis King is going to be running that offense a little bit for them. And that should probably help having that point forward presence for the Oregon Ducks once King comes back.
Well, here on Forbes, it's saying that Ball is generously listed at 7'2", 235. He said, but there's a lot of people who don't believe that he actually weighs that much. So,
yeah.
So he is bigger than Mo Bamba.
You look at any website, they'll tell you something different. But let's move on to a different player, and a player that I absolutely love, and this is why I have him right below Ball. Because for me, in my big board, I have DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Porter Jr., Keldon Johnson. And the reason why I put DeAndre Hunter at 7 over the other two is, yes, you can say, well, Ricky, it's the debate that you kind of had in the first segment of DeAndre Hunter, a little bit older, 20 years old, going to be turning 21 very soon as a sophomore. But I absolutely love what he can do, not just offensively, but what he brings to the table defensively for a team that's going to draft him.
Yeah, he's a versatile defender. He's got great size. He works well on the perimeter. This is a guy who also can be very effective from three. But you talk about that on the defensive side. I know it's a very score points as much and as many times as you can in the NBA. But I think also if you are able to be effective on both sides of the floor, that's going to help even more with your draft stock. So I think that he has probably one of the biggest impacts on both sides of the floor than anybody else that we're talking about right now in college basketball. And he's doing it for a team that until last season when they got into the tournament and they lost,
he got injured and then he lost.
That they were, the defensive team, and then all of a sudden they no longer had defense. I mean, he's playing for the right team in college, being able to be in that system. He's a special player.
And I think the thing that kind of sold me with it, and I know that this might be a very analytic type of answer, but I went into Tankathon's got this great feature where you can compare players. And yeah, you're working with their per 36, which is kind of ideal world. It's not exactly what their game stats are. But because I was trying to figure out what order I wanted to put Kevin Porter Jr., Keldon Johnson, and DeAndre Hunter in. And when you look at their per offensive win share, defensive win share, their win share period, their offensive rating, defensive rating, their offensive BPM, their defensive BPM, their BPM period. Guess who out of the three has the best rating for all of those categories I listed? DeAndre Hunter. Like, he is the one where it's, to me, any team that drafts him is not only going to get, this is a, like, he is, to me, the Mikal Bridges type of player in this draft. And like when I say that, like, oh, Ball's the Mo Bamba type player. Oh, DeAndre Hunter is the Mikal Bridges type player. I'm not saying that they're exactly the same. What I am saying is last year with Mikal Bridges, the reason why he was so high is not only was he good offensively, he was good defensively. And he was that older player where you knew what you were going to get and didn't have to worry about, oh, we got to tweak this and tweak that. DeAndre Hunter's the same way. He's going to be that older player, 21 at the point of him being drafted. You're not going to worry about, oh, we got to fix this and fix that. He's going to be a guy that, hey, we can draft and we can pretty much plug him in, and he is going to help us pretty much from day one, in even if it's in a off-the-bench kind of a role, and he's not a starter for that team.
Well, DeAndre Hunter does something that not every single player that we've talked about does, is he provides a level of consistency to his game in every facet, as kind of what you read off there, which is why he's the best in a lot of those categories. He's just a consistent player offensively and defensively, and that is why you talk about a team can just plug him in there. He's going to give you consistency, and he's going to give you production. Those are the type of players that they don't come around every single draft, and if they do, there's only a handful of them that are there.
One last guy I want to bring up and kind of bring him in because he's kind of a similar mold to DeAndre Hunter in the fact that he's an older, more experienced player, Rui Hachimura. And the reason why I bring him in, he'll be a guy who will be turning 21 soon also. He is a junior for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. He is a guy, I watched him against my Illinois Fighting Illini in a game that Illinois probably should have won, but I realized why they lost, because the Bulldogs are a really good team and won it late. But he was a guy, especially in Maui, that, yeah, Brandon Clark and Killian Tilly are good as well, but Hachimura is just one of those players where, to me, is he like DeAndre Hunter? No. DeAndre Hunter is the better player all around than Hachimura, but Hachimura is one of those players that, yeah, you might have to tweak a little bit more things, mainly on the defensive side, but he's a guy offensively that can contribute to an NBA team, to me, almost immediately in some facet, even if it's off the bench. Kind of the same thing I was saying about DeAndre Hunter.
Rui's kind of one of those guys. He's a tweener player between a 3 and a 4. That's where he's at. He's not really solely a 3 or solely a 4 on the floor, and that could be. I guess you could take that as a positive or a negative potentially. But this is a guy who's a really good catch and shoot player. He's one of the guys who certainly sunk the Duke Blue Devils for their first loss of the season in Hawaii. This is Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maui.
Okay. I said that, and then I'm like, was that right? I was pretty sure that it was.
I was looking at some of the pictures. I watched Bill Walton canoeing during the Illinois Gonzaga game, and
you love that guy.
I wish I was out there, man.
You love that.
Could you imagine us doing a podcast and just cutting to me just doing some rowing out in one of the Hawaii lakes? That's basically what it was like.
Yeah, with your Hawaiian shirt and your leg.
Yeah. I mean, we could do it. We could do a podcast like that tomorrow, but I wouldn't because it snowed here for the first time.
Gosh, so discouraging.
It wasn't snowing in Hawaii, but go on with Hachimura.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that he's an aggressive player in the paint. A knock that you could have against him is that sometimes he tends to be a straight line drive player that also
just
then
tunnel vision to the basket,
which is kind of what we saw with Miles Bridges for a time over at Michigan State, which started to be after he stayed at Michigan State and didn't go to the draft in the after that year that we all thought, okay, he's leaving by. He stayed, and I think people started to see that a little bit more, but he also, I think, started to get that out of his game and go away from doing solely that, because then for a defender, that's easy. That's kind of easy to defend against, and you start to become someone who's very predictable, a very predictable player. So if he could, go away from doing that, I'm not saying he does it all the time, but he sometimes tends to do that a little too much. But this is a good player, a strong player, junior for the Bulldogs. A guy who, without him, this is a consistent scorer that is putting up good points, solid numbers every single game. Without him, they are not the number 1 through 3 team that they pretty much are right now.
They're number 1 right now.
Oh, they're number 1 right now, but
they jumped Kansas.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, a 1 to 3 team. I don't think that they're anywhere beneath that right now.
They're
in
not
terms
going
of
to be
anyone's polling.
They wouldn't be a number 1 seed in the tournament without him.
No.
Basically, let's say that they wouldn't be a 1 seed in the tournament without.
They may not even get far without him.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't. And it's not, again, it's not just the points, it's just his presence on the floor.
And you mentioned the tunnel vision thing. The thing I like about that, there's a thing I like about that, but with that comes a thing I don't like.
Tell me about the things.
The thing I like is that you look at his free throw attempts per game, he gets to the line a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Like against Duke, 9 attempts. Against Illinois, 9 attempts. Like the fewest attempts that he has had, 5. The only problem is I wish he was it's kind of like I compare it to completion percentage for a quarterback when we talk NFL. Like 65% is really what I'm looking for. For him, I really wish he was above 70% from the line. Maybe even like 75 would be perfect. But like he's a 67%, which is like you're that close, just a little bit more, because it's like even in that Duke game, 5 of 9. Like, you missed out on 4 points. Yeah, you hit over half of those foul shots, but it's like there are some games like Texas A&M, 3 of 6 from the line, 3 of 5 for the line. It's just it's nice to get to the line, but I wish I was seeing more 7 of 9s like he did against Illinois rather than Idaho State, and not that 5 of 9 that he did against Duke. Maybe just getting that free throw percentage up a little bit, but that isn't like a huge knock. Of course, without that Duke game, he's probably closer to 70%. But like that's the thing that I like, but then I don't like right now because I want that foul shot percentage to be a little higher.
I agree with you. You've always been that type of guy. You are always
points.
above 70% at the free throw line. Above 70%. That's what you have always stressed in all of these.
They're free points, man. Like, you're standing there, no one, like Markelle, you don't need to pump fake it. There's nobody standing in front of you. Like, these are free points for you to take, and it's just that's my one bugaboo, and it comes at the foul line for anything. I'm gonna look really quick because there's always that one player that I always ask about. I am going to ask about one kind of off the cuff, just really quickly.
Sure.
Charles Bassey. He's a guy to me that I looked at, watched some of his film, and I was like, because coming into this year, I was like, well, Gafford, he's the number one center. And I went, who's this Charles Bassey guy? And I'm like, wow, he's playing like a man among boys. I wonder if he's going to be one where, yeah, he's the number one center right now, but I wonder if it's going to be because he plays at Western Kentucky, and when we get to conference season, the type of opponents that Western Kentucky is going to play this year, it's going to be vastly different than what the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to see this year.
You're right, but at the same time, I think if Bassey keeps at the level of production that he's had to this point in the season, it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't matter to the opponent, but at the same time, it doesn't. Because if he keeps up the level of production, I don't see why his name is going to be disappearing or even dropping too much at either at this point or even at that point. Because it'd be one thing if he just kind of fell off and everything like that, because it'd be easy to do that because it is Western Kentucky and it's not one of the big names. They're not in the top 25. They're not, I don't think, close to the top 25 as of right now or maybe ever. But I think it's going to help keep him alive if he keeps playing well. It doesn't matter the team that he's playing for. But that's how it's always for. I mean, I've got another guy on here from San Diego State. If as long, I think it's as long as you're playing well. Yeah, Jalen McDaniels. Couldn't remember his name, of course, but you continue to play well. It doesn't matter who you're playing for. If you keep up your level of production, consistency, people are going to find you.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below about anything we talk about. Mainly, Ball and DeAndre Hunter were the main ones we hit, but we also had Roy Hachimura in this one. So let us know what you guys think about our 15 through number 6.